The news cycles aren't just loud, they're weaponized. Textbook Bannon. Flood the zone with shit. The chaos is the plan. Keep you outraged. Keep you distracted. While Venezuela and now Renee Good's murder consume every scroll, they're counting on you to miss what quietly dropped on Christmas Eve. Buried deep in over 1 million newly released Epstein documents was an FBI intake form naming Dumpy in an alleged crime so extreme it should have dominated every headline. Instead, it barely registered. Let's fix that. Under a law Dumpy himself signed, a massive trench of Epstein records went public. Among them, an FBI tip logged in August of 2020. Document EFTA 000-25010. Take a screenshot so you can Google it for yourself. Submitted to the National Operations Threat Center, a self-identified victim alleges that in 1984, at age 13, she was trafficked by Epstein through her uncle. She claims that Donald Trump was a regular participant who paid to routinely rape her. She further alleges that later on she gave birth, and that Donald Trump was present when her uncle murdered that baby and disposed of the body in Lake Michigan. These allegations are horrific, and they're public record. Surprise, surprise. Kash Patel's FBI says the lead is incredible. Isn't it funny how documents implicating the powerful always just disappear? And that disappearance is the story. Corporate media has barely even acknowledged that it was released, let alone examine it. Instead, wall-to-wall Venezuela, and now Renee Good. When you're burying a story, timing matters. Major international crises often explode at exactly the time that domestic scandals need burying. This isn't new. It's the playbook. Last week, we talked about the control grid. Corporate media sits on the soft side. It doesn't censor outright. It decides what gets amplified and what gets buried. And the same small set of interests benefit from that elite protection across borders. This isn't about one man. It's about how power protects itself. Epstein was related to intelligence agencies, political leaders, corporate power, and science. His role was leverage, blackmail, mutual protection. Pull on that thread, and you don't just expose one crime. You expose a system. So when an FBI document alleging crimes of this magnitude surfaces about a sitting U.S. president, and the media shrugs it off while war stories flood the airwaves, ask yourself, who does that silence serve? This feels like the perfect time to revisit Katie Johnson's testimony from nearly 10 years ago. In 2016, a woman using the pseudonym Katie Johnson filed a federal lawsuit alleging that she was raped by Trump and Epstein at age 13. Her sworn testimony is still available and deeply disturbing. For the record, this is 13-year-old Katie Johnson next to a 13-year-old Ivanka Trump. Johnson says that she was recruited under the promise of modeling. She described ongoing sexual abuse by Trump and Epstein. She also says that Trump often requested her because she looked like his daughter. If you take nothing else from this testimony, let it be this story about how Dumpy took her virginity at age 13.
He came over to me and said that Donald Trump had requested that I perform oral sex on him. He came in and I was basically tied to a bed with pantyhose. And he tried to, and there was so tight it hurt to even lay there. And I tried to, try to say something. I was like, you just, shut up, shut up, bitch. This is, it was basically like he was being really, really rough. And I started to get scared. And he was, basically like ripping my clothes off. And I was actually, I got freaked out. I just turned into this animal. I was like a completely different person. I couldn't do anything about it. And
the cult has always argued that she dropped the case, but the case wasn't dropped due to lack of evidence. It was dropped because she feared for her life. MAGA calls it a hoax, but the emails tell a different story. April 28, 2016. Reuters contacts Epstein's attorney about a lawsuit that he and Donald Trump raped a 13-year-old girl in 1994. Within hours, Epstein forwards said email to 10 people, including Trump's inner circle. his bank's legal counsel, and journalist Michael Wolff. Of course, Dumpy's response was denial. His lawyer called it categorically false, claiming that Johnson doesn't exist. But notice, Trump never addressed whether the parties happened, whether he attended, or whether the witnesses existed. And that was the beginning of the end. In June of 2016, Johnson refiles, adding that she had been receiving threatening phone calls from blocked numbers. A court date was set, but here's where it ends. On November 2nd, 2016, a press conference was scheduled where Johnson would finally reveal her identity. And just 2 days later, on November 4th, that press conference was canceled. Johnson's lawyers cited numerous threats, and then the case was withdrawn. And just 4 days later, on November 8th, Dumpy wins the presidency, and Katie Johnson disappears. She hasn't been seen or heard from since. If you can stomach it, I implore you to go watch her full video affidavit. I'll link it in the comments below. And then I want you to contact every media outlet imaginable and ask them why they've kept this buried for 10 years. But we already know the answer, don't we? Do you see the pattern? The media isn't here to inform you. It is here to manage your attention and protect the existing power structure. They are counting on you to move on. Don't. Let's go.